Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, we'll have a debate on a Phoenix ballot measure to expand light rail and other forms of transportation. And we'll hear from both sides on the idea of designating a new national monument near the Grand Canyon. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Arizona is tied with Alaska for the lowest college graduation rate in the country. That's according to a new report by the U.S. Department of Education, which shows that only 29% of Arizona students earn a 4-year degree in 6 years or less. Arizona also had the highest student loan default rate in the country at 18% compared to 11% nationwide. Now, state officials note that the results are impacted by the significant number of students getting online degrees from Arizona-based for-profit universities. Indeed, while Arizona's public college completion rate of 57% was actually higher than the national average, for-profit universities showed a rate of just 23%. Phoenix voters will be deciding next month on Prop 104, a measure that calls for extending and increasing a sales tax for street improvements, along with expanding light rail and other forms of public transportation. Here now to debate the proposition, Phoenix City Council member Kate Gallego, who supports Prop 104, and Randall O'Toole, a Cato Institute senior fellow who is against the measure. Good to have you both here. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll start with you. You support Prop 104. Why?
Proposition 104 is a long-term transportation plan that was developed by citizen leaders, a committee headed by former Secretary of Transportation Mary Peters, who looked at all of the needs we have in our city of Phoenix, our increasingly dense downtown, the growth in the northern and southern portions of our city, and they recommended a comprehensive transportation plan that will be in front of the voters this August. So coming up soon, ballots should be mailing. And it really is an investment in the future of our city. It grows out the bus grid so that everyone has a chance on our arterial streets to take buses. 66% of the plan is buses. It also includes billions of dollars in investment in streets, which are key to economic development. Sometimes we have businesses come and say, but for an addition of a street, we would be in your community. And so that will bring us jobs, and it will also help us triple the light rail.
You're opposed to this proposition. Why?
Well, I'm opposed to the light rail. Everything that this ballot measure calls for can be done without raising the sales tax, just keeping the existing sales tax as it is. The money for streets, the money for buses, the money for improving bus service, all can be done without raising the sales tax. The increase in the sales tax is necessary for light rail. And light rail is an obsolete, slow, low-capacity form of transit. You can carry twice as many people on buses than you can on light rail. You can move people more safely. Light rail kills 3 to 4 times as many people per passenger mile carried as buses do. You can move people for a lot less money. You can have better transit if you rely on buses than if you rely on light rail. So the city would be better off taking light rail out, not increasing the tax, and the idea that money is going to go for streets, that depends on the light rail. If the light rail has cost overruns, the very little money that's in the proposition that will go for streets will end up being discarded.
Light rail seems to be a major bugaboo for a lot of folks with this proposition. How do you respond?
It's actually the element we heard the most about. We did a general plan for the city of Phoenix, which will also be on the ballot. And the number one thing we heard throughout the city, not just in the parts of our city that have downtown, that have light rail, was we want more connectivity. Please bring the light rail to our community. Citizens have seen the light rail and the growth and development that's associated with it. They've seen the opportunities it brings for students to be able to get to the school of their choice. They are excited about it and have said, we want light rail to go west, south, north.
But the argument's been made that it's not as safe, it's too costly, you can do better with street improvements and increase bus service, that there's a better way to, it's an obsolete system. Again, how do you respond to that?
So this is a plan that includes many different transportation options, but 20% of it is light rail. And what we've found is that it's a huge driver for economic growth. The number one question that our economic development director gets from companies who want to come into our community is, what sites are available along light rail? We don't get that question, what sites are available on bus lines? The companies, especially knowledge companies, want to be on the light rail, and they've told us That's why they're investing. And that's true throughout our region, including State Farm in Tempe.
Has light rail been bad for Phoenix?
It's been bad for Phoenix Transit riders. After they opened the light rail, they had to raise bus fares by 40%. They reduced bus service by 18%. And total transit ridership declined after the year light rail opened. Per capita transit ridership has declined by 9%. Per worker transit ridership has declined by 18%. According to census data, most people in Phoenix who have jobs but don't have cars nevertheless get to work by car. Very few of them actually take transit to work. So light rail isn't working even for people who don't have cars.
So you're saying it's not working, but again, my question is, has it been bad for Phoenix? Because a lot of folks think it has been good for Phoenix.
I think that Valley Metro has greatly exaggerated the economic benefits from light rail. They've claimed that a new high school was built along the light rail because of the light rail. And I just want to know, how is it that people in 1996 knew that a light rail was going to be built and started having more children, so you had to build this high school along the light rail line? They claim that the convention center was expanded because of the light rail, but the decision to expand the convention center was made before the light rail was built, before the decision to build the light rail was made. So they simply counted everything that was built next to the light rail as something that was built because of the light rail, and that's just not true.
Economic exaggerations, I'm hearing.
So he talks a lot about education and schools along light rail. We do not have a public high school bus system in the Phoenix Union District. They use the Valley Metro system, and they regularly get top grades for all of the money they're able to spend on classroom and school programs instead of transportation because of this partnership. So 44% of our light rail riders are students. They're investing in their future. They're being able to get to universities. ASU did tell us they came downtown because of the light rail. They wanted many options for their students to be able to get between their campuses, and that this system is crucial to their success.
Are you against this light rail as it's designed, as it has so far been built, and as it looks like it's being proposed to be expanded, or are you against light rail, period?
Light rail is an obsolete technology that makes no sense anywhere. The name light rail itself is deceptive because it sounds like it's lightweight. But in fact, according to the glossary of the American Public Transit Association, light rail means low capacity transit. You can move twice as many people between Tempe and Phoenix with buses than you can with light rail per hour. A light rail car has a lot of people, can hold a lot of people, more than a bus, but you can only run one light rail train every 3 minutes, and you can run buses much more frequently than that. So you can end up moving more people. So since buses can move more people, they can do it faster, they can do it safer, and they can do it for a lot less money. According to the transportation plan, the cost of building one new light rail line will be 150 times greater than starting one bus rapid transit line.
And yet we're hearing that there are folks who will invest either along the light rail line or invest in downtown Phoenix or even looking at Phoenix because of light rail. Is that an invalid argument?
According to all the research that's been done, light rail does not increase economic growth. It might influence the location of that growth, but the growth is going to take place with or without the light rail. Some of the fastest growing cities in America either have no light rail or they have almost no rail transit. Austin is the fastest growing city in America by percent, almost no rail transit, one piddly-dink line that doesn't work. Indianapolis is the fastest growing urban area in the Midwest, no light rail. Columbus is second, no light rail. So light rail does not make cities grow faster. If anything, the high tax burden it imposes makes cities grow slower.
And indeed, the tax burden is a factor in this particular vote and for the future of light rail. Is it worth it?
We really think this is an investment in creating a global city. While there is certainly great, Indianapolis is a great city, but we want to compete with cities like Chicago that are attracting corporate headquarters. You see so many cranes in their downtown. Their streets can't accommodate cars to fill all of those buildings. So they need multiple transportation options, and that's what this plan gives us. It's rail, it's bus, it's bicycle, it's an investment in sidewalks for people who choose to walk.
And yet, and interesting you mentioned sidewalks, because there are those who look at light rail and Phoenix and just say that the city itself, by virtue of the fact that for 6 months out of the year no one even wants to be on a sidewalk, much less look at one or build one, and because light rail everything is kind of far apart, the city wasn't designed for that kind of mass transit. How do you respond to that?
So we're investing in a lot of policies to encourage shade trees and other items that will help make our sidewalks more comfortable throughout the year and support the light rail system. But we're also finding that people do use the system throughout the year and that they're glad to have the option. I represent the area south of downtown. In that area, 45% of people either have one car in their household or no cars. So this really is a great option. And for some of the students in my district, they'll be able to get to more educational opportunities like Grand Canyon University, ASU West, or be more connected to downtown. So it's giving them an educational opportunity. And as you said at the top of this show, we do not have a college graduation rate that leads the nation.
Again, do you think that this building that we're in right now, the development we've seen along Central Avenue and in this downtown Phoenix corridor area, along Roosevelt Row even, do you think all of that would have happened without light rail?
I think it would have happened somewhere. It might not have happened in this particular location, but it absolutely would have happened somewhere. The thing is, buses can move more people. You put free Wi-Fi on buses, you offer a few amenities, have some comfortable seats, you can attract more riders than you can to a hot, crowded, uncomfortable light rail where most people have to stand because there isn't room for enough seats. If you want to move lots of people between Tempe and Phoenix, if you want to move lots of people between Phoenix and Glendale, buses work a lot better. A good example was the 2014 Super Bowl, where almost everybody had to arrive by mass transit, and they had a choice between buses and trains, and it took hours to empty out the Super Bowl for people riding the trains, and the buses just filled up and took people away. The buses worked great, the trains failed.
Last word, the Super Bowl is being touted by supporters as one of the reasons you should have light rail. He's saying that light rail performed pretty poorly.
So we had 1 million people come to Super Bowl Central in downtown Phoenix during the Super Bowl. We could not have done it without the light rail. It was the busiest week on record. We hit our single-day maximum. Washington was shut down. Buses could not pass through the central core to the bus stations, but light rail was the workhorse getting people through the Super Bowl. We learned a lot from what happened in the 2014 Super Bowl. It turned out their backlog was with people purchasing tickets. So we did a lot to make sure that we had prepaid tickets, tickets available early, and we had a wonderful success with moving people in and out of downtown with multiple different options.
Final word. Again, you are opposed to light rail, period, regardless of the success or failure it might show.
It's an obsolete technology. I think buses would have been far more successful. They could have moved far more people for far less money.
All right, we got to stop it right there. Thank you both very much. Appreciate it.
Wonderful. Thank you for having us.
Expand your horizon with the Arizona Horizon website. To get there, go to azpbs.org. Click on the Arizona Horizon tab at the top of the screen. Once there, you can access many features to help you make a more informed viewer. Watch interviews by clicking on the video button, or scroll down to the bottom of the page for the most recent segments. You can also find out what's on Arizona Horizon for the coming week. If you would like an RSS feed, a podcast, or want to buy a video, that's all on the website too. Want to learn about specific topics like immigration or the legislature? You can visit our special web sections. There's also a page for educators. Show your support for Arizona Horizon at azpbs.org/Arizona Horizon.
The proposed designation of a new national monument in the Grand Canyon watershed finds the State Game and Fish Commission and the Sierra Club on opposing sides. Tonight, we hear from those two sides. Kurt Davis is chairman of the Arizona Game and Fish Commission and is against the monument designation. And Sandy Barr is director of the Grand Canyon chapter of the Sierra Club, which supports the new national monument. Good to have you both here. Thanks for joining us. Let's quickly define terms here. What is the Grand Canyon watershed, and why are you opposed to it being a monument?
Well, for several reasons. One is you're talking about a non-public process. This is a request to the president to use an authority and actually exceed that authority in putting 1.7 million acres aside, which has ramifications for wildlife, for mega fires, and for people's ability to access those lands. And it's being done, quite frankly, they're asking him to do it without a full disclosed public process.
This is what, 1.7 acres north of the Grand Canyon in that area up there?
1.7 million acres, and it includes, it's all public land, so it's not adding private land or state trust land. It's all public land, National Forest, Bureau of Land Management land, north and south of Grand Canyon National Park.
You're saying private land is involved?
No, there's 66,000 acres of state trust land, and there's negative consequences for our kids' schools related to when you take that land out of the ability to be used for anything other than being a monument. It's going to negatively affect.
Those are not part of the monument. Only federal public lands can be designated by the president as a national monument.
You would landlock 66,000 acres of state public trust land.
Those lands are inside federal public lands right now. So that's really kind of a specious argument.
Well, what about the argument, though, that he made originally was that this is not proper process for this. This is being done without the proper input.
Well, first of all, there is a process. We and others have asked the president to look at designating the Grand Canyon Watershed National Monument. There's been a long process of identifying the benefits, which are protecting the area from uranium mining, protecting old growth, protecting wildlife habitat and corridors. And so what happens with a national monument, I mean, the president does have the ability to designate a national monument. The management of the national monument has a significant public process, and we've seen it happen in Arizona, and we've seen it work before. The Sonoran Desert National Monument, the Agua Fria National Monument, and there's a process where people can comment, there are public meetings, there are maps, it's very detailed and informed. The other thing that I would add is that with this proposed national monument, there has been legislation previously, and there's likely to be legislation in the future, which again provides an opportunity for people to comment.
Let's be clear, the request is of the president to use the Antiquities Act, which means it does not go through a fully public process. Sierra Club's always been advocates for NEPA and ESA. It doesn't go through that. The president declares these lands under authority under the Antiquities Act. But the Antiquities Act, and I just want to read you a quote from it, says, limits of which in all cases shall be confined to the smallest area compatible with proper care and management of the objects to be protected. That's what the Antiquities Act says the president's authority is. There's been no list provided saying what are we protecting, and what the Antiquity Act is referring to is antiquities. Meaning, for example, important cultural and Native American sites. There is no list that says these are the things we're protecting.
There are over 3,000 known cultural sites in the monument area.
But no list.
There are a variety of species of wildlife, and there will be,
and this
as
is why you do NEPA.
There will be
this is why you do NEPA, is to actually look for those specific articles to protect.
The Antiquities Act was established by Congress specifically to allow the president to designate areas for protection.
The
In the Grand
smallest
Canyon
areas.
area, the Grand Canyon area has been protected by previous presidents who recognized how important this area is and how important it is to protect it. And the fact, I mean, Congress did not step up initially to protect Grand Canyon National Park, Petrified Forest, Saguaro, a variety of places. Congress did not step up to protect the Ironwood Forest National Monument. These are all places that are supported by the people of Arizona. People love our public lands and they want to see them protected.
Already public lands, already designated by President Teddy Roosevelt as a game preserve. Those protections are already afforded.
They are
The
not.
idea, though,
that is incorrect.
Hold
The-
on. I
there's
want to ask.
temporary.
Let me ask a question just for a second.
Okay.
The idea, though, that you mentioned permanent uranium mining in that area. That the idea of the monument would help protect the area that is unprotected right now. We don't know what uranium needs might be in the next 5, 10, 20, 30 years. That's
Well,
why this would be
The fact
needed.
is, you can't uranium mine. Those protections have been put in place through 2032 already. So that issue has already been handled. And what it doesn't talk about, what people don't talk about, is catastrophic fire. Monuments, if you think you're going to manage the forest from overgrowth and then catastrophic fire, then I would love to see the Sierra Club say they're willing to put a $3 billion bond on that forest that it won't burn down after it becomes a monument and we no longer actively managing those trees.
Okay, the idea that management would be difficult, access would be difficult, thus habitat would be threatened, and fire would run rampant. How do you respond?
Well, he has nothing to support those allegations. First of all, there's no reason you can't manage the forest. It will protect old growth, and old growth is the fire-resistant part of the forest. And you will have fires. Acting like you're not going to have fires in the forest is ridiculous. We know
Catastrophic
ecologically
fire.
that there will be fires, and that in fact we need fire to maintain the health of the forest. It's those very old growth and larger trees that will be protected by a national monument that will provide a more fire-resistant, fire-resilient landscape and a healthier forest.
How would that happen, though? I mean, in terms of management, again, if access is limited, if businesses even in the area wind up going out of business, which we'll talk about in a second here, but if that were to happen,
there's nothing to support business.
If access is limited, though, how would you protect that? How do you manage an area like that?
Monuments are good economically. There's been numerous studies on that. So this argument that you're going to have businesses going out and that it'll be bad economically is, again, that's just incorrect. The other thing is the monument, it's not going to, it doesn't shut down the area. It helps protect it. It helps to limit activities that are causing harm. So you're not going to be able to go in there and chop down old growth trees. You're not going to be able to drop a bunch of uranium mine claims.
But you
I need for
don't
him to
do
respond.
now. Either of those are not occurring now.
That's
It's
wrong. I can show you
flat
some
not
photos
happening
of
now.
old growth logging on the North Kaibab from just
The
a
idea
few weeks
that
ago.
the one was the
That is
last
just
sizable
incorrect.
cutting contract we've seen in Arizona, period. Forget on a monument in Arizona, and we've seen catastrophic fire. You do see reduced access. Right now, the Sierra Club's engaged in lawsuits to stop grazing on a national monument. They're engaged in trying to stop recreational shooting or further limit recreational shooting on a monument. What happens is everyone says everything's going to be the same, don't worry about it. But then, after it happens, we see a reduction in the ability to manage wildlife, in an increase in catastrophic fire, changes in people's ability to make a living, and recreational access is impeded. I mean, that's just a reality of what happens in monuments.
Respond, please.
Well, I can respond again. It's just incorrect. First of all, yes, there are some limits on grazing in some monuments. In a hot desert monument that can't sustain livestock grazing anyway. You have to look at the specifics of a particular monument. The other thing I will add, each of these monument proposals has had language in it that retains the authority of the entity he's supposed to represent, Game and Fish, to manage wildlife. Every one of the monuments that the president has established has that language in it. There's no evidence to support this argument on catastrophic fire.
because they
We're
have to-
talking about protecting an area. There's wildlife connectivity. There are
Right.
corridors to be protected.
Please.
We're talking about
I need to get him to respond, please.
It's already public lands that are protected. Wildlife is held by the people of Arizona. It's held in trust for the people of Arizona. Federal government can't say you can't manage wildlife. They have to allow the management of wildlife. But when we talk about a monument,
But
we
you
talk
can't
about
have
managing
wildlife
wildlife.
without habitat.
One of our other monuments,
Without
when you
habitat.
tied it up, the ability for the department to get in and work on water catchments saw a decrease in bighorn sheep, wild sheep. That's an unfortunate
I would love for
consequence.
you to show that to me because
I'll
there's
give
no
you the
evidence
exact.
to
Yes, there
support
is
that.
actual numeric
All right.
reductions in counts.
There's no
Unfortunately, we
evidence
have
to
to stop
support
right. This
that.
is a very interesting,
Drought does
very
cause
interesting
a
discussion.
decrease in bighorn sheep.
And not being able to manage
Because,
water.
I mean, you guys both really see things very differently. But good to have you both here.
Yeah, we want to
Thank
see
you.
habitat protected,
Thank you so
and he
much.
doesn't.
That's it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.